still going. Mr. President, I have to recuse myself from B3.
B3.
I was not here for either of those meetings.
Okay,
So,
no problem. Mr. Manager, you're gonna have that list for me of completed. Great.
Everyone but the two highlighted yellows.
yeah, 2 minutes.
Hey, you need a lift.
Thank you.
You needed a lift.
We'll wait a couple minutes for.
Would have made it neater if I had a few more.
No, that's okay, I understand, no, I got it.
It's like, Nick, stand up. I am.
Okay, good. Mike's on? We're ready. Okay. I'd like to call this meeting to order again. The chair will entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to seal the minutes of executive session.
Motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second? We have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Mr. Manager, I'm sorry, roll call by the clerk, please. I'll give you a couple minutes. I know we kind of, I apologize for us being a little late, but we were doing some interviews and things ran a little later than we expected, but I appreciate you being patient with us. Okay, Madam Clerk.
Kerry McGee,
Here.
Greg LaBoissoniere,
Here.
Deb Bacon, Gary Cody,
Here.
Ian Dixon, Nicholas Gorham,
Here.
Ed Wazika.
Here.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Town Sergeant, if you'd all please rise and lead us. Aye.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For those of you who would like to remain standing for invocation, Lord, as we gather today at this meeting, we ask that you will be in our midst. Help us to make decisions that will be pleasing to you. Help us to be able to discuss the matters at hand in a reasonable way and be willing to give up having our own way. God, let this meeting be productive and as should be in all areas of our lives. Please help us you at the forefront, keep you at the forefront of our minds as we do the work set before us. Amen. Town Sergeant, if you would give the emergency evacuation plan. Okay, President's comments. Also, I mentioned every month about looking for volunteers for committees. We still are looking for volunteers for committees and commissions, and so please, if you have time to donate to help the town out, I encourage you to put an application in. I have a letter here from, I hope I'm not stealing the school department's thunder, but we have a young gentleman named Riley Clark, a student at Alan Sean Feinstein Middle School, who received a notable mention for their story, A Taste of a Bad Apple. Riley is among the 20 winners of the Wright Rhode Island Short Story Competition. So I want to commend him. I think the winners in every category will be honored at the Wright Rhode Island Awards Ceremony at the Newport Art Mansion. So that's a good honor. It comes from the Alan Sean Feinstein, so kudos to him. With that being said, I have nothing else for President's comments. We have a busy meeting tonight, so I'm going to have us move right along with it. Next thing will be on the agenda will be the approval of a town council minutes from January 27th, 2020, February 3rd, 2020, and February 10th, 2020. The chair will entertain a motion to accept.
Hold on.
take them separately.
You want to take them separately?
At
Okay.
least the 20,
Okay, so let's do the, approve the minutes of January 27, 2020. Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second.
I second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion on it? Ayes have it. Motion carries. The next one will be the minutes for February 3rd, 2020. Okay, we have two
I
councilmen.
make a motion to approve the minutes for February 3rd, 2020.
We have a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second?
Mr. President, if I may, before you receive your second, I have to recuse myself from the voting on the minutes of both meetings for the month of February, as I wasn't able to attend either one of them.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. We have a second? Okay, we have a second. All in favor? Yes.
Likewise, I was unable to attend those meetings as well.
Okay.
The 3rd and the 10th.
The 3rd and the 10th. Okay, so we have the three of us will vote. We have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. The next one will be February 10th, 2020. The chair will entertain a motion to accept.
Mr. President, I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes for February 10th, 2020.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. The next thing on the agenda is the school committee report. Mr. Florio, welcome. I hope I didn't steal any of your thunder. Okay,
No,
great.
sir, Mr. President. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
They do good work at Allen Shawn Feinstein
Yes, they
School,
do.
and Mr. Clark deserves all the credit he can get. School committee report from March 9, 2020. We'd like to congratulations to the Coventry High School senior Jayla Joyce for being awarded the Prudential Spirit of the Community Award. This recognizes Jayla for her outstanding community service efforts. Only one high school student per state received this award. Jaya will receive this award at a future ceremony to be held at Coventry High School, which all of you are invited to. She will also attend a ceremony in Washington, D.C., where she is eligible to win a $5,000 scholarship. Ms. Joyce played an important role in establishing the Unified OCA program at Coventry High School. Thank you, Jayla, for all your efforts. The school committee will recognize Jaya at a future school committee meeting, which we will notify you of. We would like to thank the Coventry Public School Building Committee, the Town Council, and numerous school administrators, educators, and community members in Studio JAD for supporting the necessity for the school construction Stage 1 application project. The Stage 1 application was submitted on Friday, February 14th to the Rhode Island Department of Education School Building Authority. We look forward to working with all our stakeholders in developing a Stage 2 application. During Stage 2, we will address a solution to our facility needs that must be supported by our entire community from a physical and educational perspective. Though it will be a challenge, we have a strong team that will be ready to develop and market proposals that will address many of our needs. The NESOC committee visiting team had an outstanding visit last week. These are the people that certify our high school. The 18 members gave high praise to the climate and culture that exists in Coventry High School. The NESOC team chair, Roberto Medic from Avon Public Schools in Avon, Connecticut, commented on the relationship between students and staff. He noted that the Coventry High School faculty loves their students, and the students know this. Mr. Medic also made reference to Coventry High School having something for every student. Students and staff informed the visiting team they feel connected to each other and then they feel safe. While each visiting team member indicated their respective schools have inclusive practices, Coventry High School set the bar for inclusivity. Thank you, Mr. Cody. We would like to thank Julie Macaron and Kristen Capwell for co-facilitating the NESOC accreditation process. The school department took a historic step Thursday, February 27th, in awarding a bid for virtual net metering project to Vivivity Energy. Once the project is up and running, Coventry Public Schools will receive electric energy from renewable energy solar project located on commercial land in Johnston, Rhode Island. This agreement will not only save Coventry Public Schools over $8 million over the course of 25 years, but will include an educational component that will support STEAM initiatives in all our schools. Vivivity Energy will also provide a $5,000 scholarship for a student annually. It is important to note that this project took into consideration all of the environmental concerns that have been expressed by our community in looking at renewable energy projects. We would like to thank School Committee Member Luke Murray, Christopher Kearns from the Rhode Island Office of Energy Resources, and a Coventry resident, and Mr. Daniel Joyce from Balanced Rock Energy, Mr. Jason Martin, Ms. Sarah Mignorelli, and the school committee for all their efforts in supporting Coventry Public Schools' approval of a bid to purchase renewable energy. Thank you all, and that's the report of the school department this evening.
I thank you very much, Mr. Florio, appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. President. Thank you, Mr.
Yes, we
Cody,
have a,
Ms. Bacon.
you have questions for him? Oh, we have a comment from.
Yes, sir.
No, I'd just like to thank the school for inviting the town council members to attend the summary presentation last week. So I did attend, and it was a joy to see how well the NEAS committee really praised our school, the staff, the activities, and all of the students. And I just want to mention that one of the areas that they said we do have a need in is infrastructure improvements. And I know that we've been talking about that for a long time. So I just want to say that the theme for the need for school improvements has been repeated through many parties and many, many times. So I'm not happy that they discovered that problem, but it does say that there is a strong need for us to take care of the infrastructure of our schools. Thank you.
We were honored with your presence, Ms. Dixon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Mr. LaBosse in there as well.
I think the next item on the agenda will be a presentation by Human Services Director Bob Robillard, Coventry, a trauma-informed community. Mr. Robillard, it's all yours. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you. I just have some extra handouts that are above and beyond that. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the Town Council. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to update you on the Coventry Trauma-Informed Resilient Coventry Grant. According to the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration, building resilient and trauma-informed communities is essential to improving public health and well-being. Communities can be places where traumatic events occur, but they also can be places that keep us safe. They can be a source of trauma or buffer us against the negative effects of adversity. Communities can collectively experience trauma much like individuals do, and they can be a source of healing. Trauma is highly prevalent and can impact a person at any point or any time during their lifespan. It may present as a mental health issue, substance abuse, or physical health condition. Again, according to SAMHSA, individual trauma results from an event, series of events, or set of circumstances, or experiences by an individual as physically or emotionally harmful or life-threatening with lasting adverse effects on the individual's functioning, mental, physical, social, emotional, and spiritual well-being. If you think of 3 E's when you think of trauma, there's an event, there's an experience, and then there's an effect. I co-authored a grant with our superintendent, Craig Levis. Thanks for coming tonight. I appreciate that. We received a $440,000 grant from the Rhode Island Foundation Behavioral Health Fund. It's the first year the Behavioral Health Fund has given communities and entities this money. But I think this fund is going to help us begin what I believe to be a 10-year process for Coventry to become a trauma-informed community. The 3-year grant will offer trauma-informed training for our Coventry community, inclusive of year 1 our school district, and that includes our bus drivers, our bus monitors, our food service workers, faculty, and support staff. So anyone that comes in contact with a child will receive this training. We're also looking to expand the second year to training municipal government and continuing to train and onboard staff with the expectation that trauma-informed knowledge is an important part of our community. In year 3, we would be educating the community at large, our families, our youth sports leagues, daycare centers, and early intervention programs during the life of this grant and beyond. So the reasoning behind starting with schools reflects the primary mission of schools, where it's the place where children spend most of their time and are believed to be a logical place to depart the project. So according to the National Traumatic Stress Network for children, the primary mission of schools is to support students in educational achievement. To reach this goal, children must feel safe, supported, and ready to learn. Children who are exposed to violence and trauma may not feel safe and ready to learn. Not only are individual children affected by traumatic experiences, but other students, the adults on campus, and the school community can be impacted by interacting or working with a child who has experienced trauma. So becoming trauma-informed should be an essential component of the overall mission of our community. A trauma-informed community recognizes that trauma affects children, adults, families, communities, and systems. Thus, an organizational support, partnerships, and capacity building are all part of this program. So I can give you an update on where we stand as of 6 months. We started in August. We have contracted with Family Service of Rhode Island's Trauma, Loss, and Victim Services Unit. The clinical director of the program, Kayla Davis, has been out to all of our schools and has met with each of the teams in each of our schools within the district to get to know the uniqueness of each building and the families they serve. She's a lead trainer and on-site consultant for the project. So she is spending time in the buildings and also is going to be a consultant as we move training out into the community too. This specialist can assist us in ongoing development of trauma-informed practices and support a trauma-sensitive and compassionate school environment. She can support all the good work and best practices which are currently happening in our district and support them to move forward. So in August, we did, during the first day of school, the teachers go all to one assembly at the high school. So the approximately 800 district employees were present, and a brief introduction to trauma-informed work, which will be occurring in our town, was presented. This was the initial opportunity to frame our focus, to give educators and those who interact with students more tools to lead to student success. All of our district administrators have received initial training in trauma-informed care, and each school in the district has pulled teams of champions from all different parts of each of the schools, from support personnel to educators to clinical staff, and they've been trained from the elementary and middle school and high school. So they have had their initial training. We also, as we move forward, having that variety of staff members at all levels is really what is going to impact some change, I think, system-wide. Excuse me. There's dates for trainings at each school level, elementary and secondary, and they're being confirmed as I speak with you this evening. There's an increased focus on maximizing on-site support and trauma-informed consultation, like I spoke about before. In each school building, will begin to implement trauma-informed approaches in their classrooms. A trauma-informed resiliency steering committee has been formed as well. We've met twice at this point, and we are meeting on a monthly basis. And that group includes first responders, Coventry Police Department administration, school resource offices, clinical staff, administrative and educational staff at all levels, elementary, middle, and secondary, as well as early intervention and special education staff. Municipal government staff, the Town of Coventry Department of Recreation, members from my staff at the Coventry Department of Human Services, and the executive and programmatic staff from Westwood YMCA are also present. This group will expand to parents and other members of our community as we move our mission forward and refine how Coventry defines trauma-informed care as it relates to our town. We'll be defining that for ourselves. One great opportunity that we have, I've been in contact with folks in municipal government in Tarpon Springs, Florida, and they've been a trauma-informed community for about 10 years. And they've agreed to help mentor us and be our sibling city, which I thought was a great offer on their behalf. And that had started right from their city council. A person who sat on the city council seat started that movement about 10 years ago. So they'll be a resource for us as we grow. Our goal is to be the first fully trauma-informed community in Rhode Island. There were 64 applicants for this grant, and only 6 were funded. And we were the only municipality funded in this entire first cohort. So the goal continues to be to build community, connect people, and we're also looking to make this a train-the-trainer model. So as we get this expert consultation, we will have staff in the schools and in the community be able to be trained and be able to train folks in trauma-informed care and best practices. So we're also in the process of completing pre- and post-testing when we have these trainings, but we'll also be utilizing a cutting-edge tool which measures attitudes towards trauma, called the ARTIC, Attitudes Towards Trauma-Informed Care. And that evaluation was developed at Tulane University. And this assessment tool has been psychometrically tested and has actually been published. So it's one of the only assessment tools that actually does assessment in schools and in the community. And I think the timing of us being involved with them is good for the town overall. So let me just go over the next steps. We're looking to trauma-informed train the entire school district. That includes bus personnel and food service workers. Our steering committee will receive ongoing training on secondary trauma and self-care and how we bring this next piece to our community. Training for clinical and special education staff on assessment and referral for services is also part of this. And also training our school staff and municipal employees on vicarious trauma, secondary trauma, with a strong focus on self-care and prevention of burnout. So I think this is also a benefit for the town to get the best services that they can as well. So our goal is to have a shared language. So the best way to do that is to have everyone have some level of education on what trauma-informed care is. And that includes offering trainings to our school committee and our town council. The part of the written piece of this grant is to provide trauma-informed education that can happen top-down and bottom-up. So we're also looking to build resiliency for our members of our community, and it's really congruent with recommendations from SAMHSA. The focus needs to be on resilience, or the ability of a person, family, organization, or community to cope with and adapt to challenges or setbacks. It should be noted that although children have exposure to trauma, they can learn, grow, and be successful with the right supports, trusted adults, and a responsive community in which they live. And I know we have a long meeting, so I'm going to cut this a little short, but in closing, the trauma-informed approach focuses on 6 areas: safety, trustworthiness and transparency, peer support, collaboration and mutuality, empowerment, voice and choice, cultural, historical, and gender relationship issues. There's a great quote that I'm going to end with by Margaret Wheatley. There's no power for change greater than a community discovering what it cares about. I believe Coventry cares about its children, who are the future of our town. So thank you for your time, your attention, and I look forward to giving you a report as we go further on in this process. And if you have any questions, I'm more than willing to answer them for you.
Well, Mr. Robillard, thank you very much for that presentation. I was there. We originally got the grant. It was a great idea, great plan. I believe Councilwoman Dixon was there also. I think it's great that you guys are doing this plan. I know it's a work in progress.
It's a collaboration.
Yes, it really is good. So I appreciate you, and certainly we would like some updates on how you're moving along. That'd be great. So,
Absolutely. I'll be
is there
happy
any
to give
questions from anybody from the council? No. Thank you very much. I'm sorry.
I heard you say that there was going to be opportunities for the council to get involved and to learn some things.
Absolutely.
when will those opportunities present themselves?
We are looking to schedule probably after our budget. I know that it's a busy time of year, and I think trauma training after that would probably be appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a question.
Sure.
Does the grant call for the council to get that training in Tarpon Springs, Florida?
No, it's not a remote. The only option would be to have them come up here because that's they'll actually be up here in the fall for a conference, and they would really like to meet our council. So
Certainly
I'm
keep us
hoping that
appraised,
we can make that happen so you can actually see what they're doing and ask those questions live.
That'd be great. All right.
I'll actually be much closer to them next February if I can go there for training. I'll pay my
We
own
can
way.
do a remote.
Yeah, I'll pay my own way.
Bob, thank you very much.
I appreciate
it
your
again.
time. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob.
Mr. President, I'd just like to thank both Mr. Robillard and Superintendent Levis on this. There was an extensive amount of work done on this. It's another example of two different departments working together for the good of the town, and they spent a lot of time on this, and it's a really great program that's going to assist many residents of the town. So.
And I do apologize for not recognizing Mr. Levis and his work towards it too. So yes, thank you very much. Okay, point taken. Okay, I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, I'm taking your job. So if you would please C1, that'd be great.
Approval of National Grid Verizon pole location request, North Glen Drive.
Okay, Mr. Manager, you want to make a comment on this?
This is just one of the routine ones that we get up quite often on these poles. It needs to be moved. It was actually having some aerial trespass on a couple of properties. It remains on town property, and this is just a standard authorization.
Yeah, I know we've done several of them, so no problems. You guys?
No
have
problems, no.
looked at the engineers,
Nope,
looked at
I
it?
recommend that you approve it.
Okay, great.
Motion to approve?
So we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any comments?
No, I just have a quick comment,
Yes.
because it just says on the resolution to move on North Glen Drive. I know on the back page, is this part of the resolution that gives the very specifics on where the
That's the
poles?
paperwork that we sign on it, that's signed and sent in.
Okay, I just want to make sure that it's very specific.
Yep.
Because on the resolution, it was just North Glen Drive.
Okay.
That's all. Thank you.
Okay, great. So we have a motion and we have a second. If there's no other comments, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Okay, Madam Clerk, the next item would be C2, please.
Authorize interim town manager to go out to bid to sell the following: Stanley Merck Building, 1111 Main Street, Coventry, Plat 45, Lot 31. Mapledale School, 29 Mapledale Street, Coventry, Plat 54, Lot 119. Coventry Teen Center, 668 Washington Street, Coventry, Plat 55, Lot 160. Property next to Coventry Liquor Store, 606 Washington Street, Coventry, Rhode Island, Plat 55, Lot 75. With the condition that the council can reject any bid for any reason, including but not limited to price.
Okay, I'm sure the town manager has some. I just want to give something quick. I've been talking with the town manager quite a bit about getting some of these properties that the town no longer has need for and get them sold, get them on a tax roll, get businesses or whatever, whoever buys them. So we do have quite a few properties, and there's going to be more forthcoming. But Mr. Manager, if you want to give comments or anything on this particular,
This group, these are currently unused properties. There's no projected use for them further by the town. The Stanley Merck Building is the old fire dispatch center. That's about a 400 square foot building, very small piece of property. It's there is no potential future use for the town that
yeah. May I just add that you did have them appraised. You have appraised.
they're all going to be appraised before the RFP goes out the door.
Okay. So it's not any shady deals we're doing on it. We're going to get.
No, and it's an RFP. We're putting out RFPs for all of them. The same way we're the old police station, which you prior approved, is just about cleaned out, ready to go. That's going. The RFP will be out the door at any day on that one as well. But Mapledale School, we have some interest in that school and that old building. But again, it's got to go out to an RFP style or an auction, so it's open to the public and fair, and everybody's treated the same way on those.
Okay.
The Teen Center, it's a beautiful old building that unfortunately we have no use for further down on Main Street. The Parks and Recreation Department is moved the teen center programs into the existing building, as well as they'll be moving them into across the street at the annex in the very near future. Piece of property on 606 Washington Street. It's next door to a liquor store, and the gentleman over there is showing some interest in that property. But again, every piece has to be done with an RFQ, so they're put out to the public, and appropriate bids are sent in to us.
Okay, before I ask for a motion, I'm sure that there were some questions and concerns. So does anybody have any questions or concerns? Let's start out. Okay.
It's at the top of the list. I've got questions on the Merck building, which was the dispatch center. I know that there had been discussion regarding that property, kind of maybe going over to seeing as it's attached to the Payne House.
I would hope that they put an RFP in on this,
Okay.
and they will be looked at. There are, honestly, some of these, it's more about the reutilization of that building than just if we get a couple of bucks for it. Just my opinion. It's obviously going to be up to the council on what they do, but I'm hoping that they will put in an RFQ on that. And if the plans are appropriate, and I think the council would be more than willing to go that route, especially on what I think is going to turn out to be a relatively low-valued building because of the size, location, lack of parking, lack of anything there. There's not, and attaching it to the Payne House actually makes a lot of sense because they're next to each other, and the parking for the Payne House would be utilized for this. So I'm really hoping they do put in an RFP on this.
Excuse me, Mr. Vice President, if I may, sir.
Sure.
Mr. Manager, I have been in contact with people at the Payne House, and we will indeed be receiving an RFP from them.
Excellent.
Their interest in obtaining that building would be to attach it to the Payne House and further the educational opportunities on fire service within the town of Coventry. They will be trying to work in conjunction with some of the fire chiefs in town to obtain some old equipment and stuff and turn that into a fire museum.
Historical nature, correct.
Absolutely, and they're absolutely interested in keeping former Chief Stanley Merck's name on that building.
As well as some of the boxes and the things that he kept in
exactly.
storage on Maple.
Mr. Cody.
Exactly, so.
Mr. Cody, most of the old dispatch equipment is still in that building, so they're already got a good jump on having some antiquated and old-style equipment that people can see, because it is.
If they are fortunate enough to obtain the rights to that building, I'm sure that they'll go through it with a fine-tooth comb and use everything that they possibly can. But like the manager, I think it's a good idea to attach it to the Payne House. The properties are attached as we speak. They're right next door to each other. There is currently no parking at the fire alarm building, but there is parking at the Payne House. So to make it part of one complex and to take it out of the hands of the town of Coventry, we won't be responsible for the care and the maintenance or anything of it. And it puts it back with one of the historic pieces of property that we currently have in Coventry and can be used to further the education in the town of Coventry about fire service here. So.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cody. Is there any other comments? Yes, Deb.
Just a brief comment. The last town-owned property list that council received was back in 2016, and at that time, we had about 224 properties that the town owned.
We've got a new one. I will get it out to everybody. We've got a new list that's been developed, and we'll get it out to you.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And like I said before, this is just the larger properties. We are going to actively look into putting some of them out to bid. Let's get them sold. Let's get them on our tax roll so we can bring in some money.
Yeah,
for them.
224, that's an
Yeah,
awful lot of
it is a
property we
lot, you
own.
know. So we're working on that.
A lot of those properties that are on the list are very small pieces, but there are some that are of substantial size, and hopefully there will be some market demand for those.
Good. Are there any other questions by any council members? If not, then the chair will entertain a motion.
Motion?
We have a motion to, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. I think the next thing is C3, please.
Authorize the interim town manager to renew the telephone service contract for 5 years with Cox Communication.
Okay, Mr. Manager, this is absolutely your department. I'm not even gonna say anything on it, so please give us a rundown of what you have, information you have on it. I have looked through our paperwork, and it's all strange
Gibberish
to
for
me.
you,
All
yes.
gibberish to me.
Cox Communication has been our sole provider of telephone and telecom services for 13, 14 years in that ballpark. Their current contract is expired. What I'm requesting is that we renew that contract via the MPA, but the state 308 authorizes certifies them as a valid vendor without the need to go out to RFP. I would prefer not to have to change the entire system around in town with the multiple buildings that we have and multiple systems. We are looking at it'd be an extremely complex process. This proposal from Cox replaces and upgrades all of our existing systems. There's no out-of-pocket for materials. All of the equipment's brought in, new phones. There'll be some new wiring in all of the buildings. These will be IP-based phones. It will be, we're going from basically what Alexander Graham Bell had to state-of-the-art at just about the same cost that we're currently paying for the systems we have.
And you're completely happy with
I am very satisfied with it. I've looked at one of the other major vendors as well, and I would prefer to stick with our vendor, and based on the MPA 308, we're authorized to do that.
Okay, so does anybody from council have any questions? Yes.
Mr. Wazika, I was looking through this package, and I was looking at the service addresses, and one of them indicates service for the teen center, and we just voted to.
That teen center phone is going to actually be moved over to the Parks and Rec Center. So it was left in there. There's a couple of other things that we're going to be cleaning up in the actual, but that's the document, and we've got to sit down and go through line by line by line on those. But what this gave you was the main contract, the basic, the cost per line, cost for all of it. The only thing that'll happen on this, it will actually get less than what some of these are, because we will be shutting down some of these phone lines that are still in the system, but will not need to be utilized going forward.
So that was my follow-up question, and that is are there options for us to decrease service in this contract?
We will be doing that prior to signing the contract.
Okay, because I was worried about that,
Yep.
because this is a definitive statement.
Yeah, nope, these will all be reduced down before we have to sit and go, like I said, line by line through every building and every circuit that we have.
Okay, good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Page 79. It's regarding the contract. It is page 79 of 110. This is a question for Nick.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, it's under the promotion details. I believe that this should be a comma and not a period, and it's under the sentence. It's the second sentence. If customer disconnects telephony or long-distance services, period, Cox reserves the right to raise the price for the service to the prevailing month-to-month rate. Shouldn't that be after services, comma, Cox reserves the right? Instead of a period?
Let me just,
I read it.
no one can ever say you did not read the fine print.
It's a contract, you have to read it.
Let me just read it really quickly and I'll tell you.
Mrs.
what I
Bacon,
think.
the final contract will actually be approved by Nick before we sign it. That's what we've got to finalize on the little pieces of it.
Could the council see the final contract and then we vote on it? I mean, because I just want to make sure. I don't like voting on contracts that have.
Well, I mean, that's just it's up to you.
We can vote on this one, just make a change, we just note the change if it's necessary from the solicitor.
But there'll be
I
other.
agree with Ms. Bacon. That appears to be a period that should be a comma. And it may have, because that would make it conjunctive,
Correct.
it would improve the way that sentence is structured for the town. So with that proviso, I think you're otherwise satisfied with the contract?
I think if we do get a motion, we'll make it with
Okay,
that change.
good.
Okay? So
We'll add a comma.
Just for the record, I did not write this fine.
No,
print.
I know you
never
didn't.
write
I know
fine
you didn't.
print.
This, Cox wrote this. Nope, that's
I make
why.
everything big so nobody can say I hit it in the fine print. So anyway, this is Cox's language, I believe.
wait,
Yeah.
is there say anything else?
Yeah, I just have another, and this is another question for Nick. Do we need a contract period, the effective date, and an expiration date? Or is this under, this is the MPA on the first page, page 70 of one?
It's a 5-year period, and it will be effective the date we sign it, and go 5 years forward.
Well, where is it? I don't see the,
I'm looking at page 69, different thing there.
page 69?
In the resolution.
I know, but the contract itself doesn't have an effective date.
No, but it
That's
will
what I'm
be
looking
once we finalize it.
The date of signature. So they
Yes.
can't, nobody can fill in the date yet, the council hasn't approved it.
So we have complete faith in the town manager signing it after we approve a 5-year, that it'll state 5 years in the contract.
Okay, so
And
I,
if you desire a copy, we will send you a copy of the finished.
The 5 years is what gets us the best price on the whole package, so.
okay, yeah, because I just, and then on page 80, another question for Nick. 80? Page 80 of 110, it's under number 2, service start and term. And it's in the bold, and in the bold in the middle, it says, after the initial term, this agreement shall automatically renew for 1-year terms. So does that sound like this is renewing every year? That doesn't sound like a 5-year.
No, it says after the initial term.
The initial term is
term.
5 years.
Well, the initial term would be 5 years. It will
But
automatically.
I don't see that's what I'm saying, the initial term, that's the installation. The initial term shall begin upon installation of service and shall continue for the applicable term commitments set forth above in the term services. But I don't see the term services. That's where I was questioning.
It would be set forth above in the contract, not on this. That's just a generic that goes out with every contract. They don't know what the dates of those contracts are going to be. So it says in the above context, which means in the contract.
And we'll be signing it for a 5-year term.
Mrs. Bacon, am I correct in understanding what you're saying? You're saying in section 2, exhibit A, in
Yes.
the bold printed area, it says that,
Page 80.
page 80, excuse me, 80 of 110. The agreement shall automatically renew for 1-year terms unless the party gives the other party written termination. So we're approving it for 5 years, and it's saying here that unless Cox or us say, stop this agreement, it will continue to renew for every year. Is that what you're saying?
I just want to make sure it is a
Is that-
5-year agreement and we're not just doing annual renewals, because the
We're
way
not.
it's written, it
It's-
looks like
it will-
annual
it will-
renewal.
You will have the 5-year dates in the finalized contract before it's signed.
We are approving for a 5-year.
5-year,
So-
yeah.
Correct, that's what you're approving.
That's correct.
I hope that answered your questions. If
Yeah.
there's no other questions, the chair will take a motion.
With that change,
Yes.
With the-
We'll
under the
make that
promotion.
motion.
okay, you did, I didn't hear you, thank
Okay,
you.
Make that motion for the change.
Okay, I'll make that motion to change with under the promotion. Details that next to services be a comma, not a period.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
That's on page 79. Didn't specify.
Yes,
that.
page
79.
79, yes.
Of our pack.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries.
Wasn't at dinner yet.
Oh, yeah. Right. Okay, the next item on the agenda, Madam Clerk, I believe would be item C4, please.
Authorize the interim town manager to enter into a 3-month contract with 4 Leaf Incorporated, who is a professional service firm who specializes in providing plan review, project inspections, and on-call inspection services for authorizing of building permits.
Okay, Mr. Manager, if you want to give us a rundown of that, just look over the paperwork as we all received a copy of it and just explain to us what it's all about.
What this is about is, we had a level 2 commercial inspector that was working his way towards becoming a building official. His employment with the town is no longer. And we need to ensure that we have continuity of services. We had our level 1 inspector, Mr. Dan Robitaille, who is, had a couple of medical issues and he's been out, but he will be coming back to provide the day-to-day on level 1. What this will do is the last 9 months, 9 months or so, we've been relying on Bob Assalone from West Warwick's building official to handle all of our signing, plan review, level 2, anything that else has to be done that he actually has to sign off as the building official.
On a per diem basis.
On a per diem basis. We are still going to utilize Mr. Assalone on occasion, but we need somebody here day to day to handle the operations going forward. Four Leaf is a company that provides those services. If I'm not mistaken, they are a nationwide company, and they've got an excellent reputation. We have gone with a 90-day open end. We can terminate at any time if we need to, but up to 90 days. I'm anticipating we're going to need the whole 90. We're looking at bringing them in 4 hours a day, Monday through Thursday, at a cost of $95 an hour, which coincidentally happens to be the total cost that we would be paying for the level 2 that was here. So there's no additional cost to the town over the next 3 months over what we had. The funds to fund this will come out of the line item for salary and benefits.
Can I also add that we're having a very difficult time finding a level 2 qualified person
There-
to do this job. We've been searching, we had that one person, it didn't work out, and it's very, very.
There's nobody out, there's absolutely nobody out there. Bob Assalone has been actually working for part-time for 2 other communities. Smithfield and North Smithfield has been in process for several months attempting to find someone. Hopkinton, there's nobody out there. That's the problem. We advertised for, it took us probably 6 months, and the gentleman, when he came in, had just acquired his level 2. And he still had several years to go to get to a building official. This is a very difficult position to fill. We did the same kind of situation with our town engineer, which has worked out, I'd say, better than we could ever ask for. And again, it's slightly less than what we were paying. All the jobs are getting done, and we have a wide diversity of experience. The gentleman that we would be utilizing, or the primary that we'd have, is Mr. Charles Phelps. He was actually in Cranston for 30 years, 11 years, as their assistant building official. He's got extensive experience in the state. I've got his resume if anybody would like that, but that's just one of the many people that are associated with this company. That's something we need to do, and I don't want to end up in a jackpot. We've got several projects ongoing in town. We've got others coming online, and we need to have the services available.
Okay, appreciate it. Any questions from the council?
I've got a question. With the difficulties that many communities have had with finding people, would outsourcing this on a permanent basis?
This is actually what I'm,
feasible and,
well, that's what we're doing here. We're actually using this as a test to see how this works out, and if it does, then that would be my plan to move forward and do that and outsource it.
Okay.
But that's why, that's the 3-month period. We need to see how it's gonna work out, where it's gonna go, how it goes. I think it's gonna be an excellent addition. I think we're gonna get the things done that we need to, and with the kind of the caliber of the people involved and their experience, I think are gonna do. It's gonna be good for the town.
Okay, great. Do we have other questions?
I noticed, based on the agreement, that we guarantee a minimum of a 4-hour period of work time. Are we guaranteeing 16 hours a week, or is that flexible? based
No,
on
that's
the
flexible.
need?
We have to
That's
do the
flexible.
we have to do the 4 hours a day, and the plan is Monday through Thursday, 4 hours a day, to have them here. And up or down, depending on how it works out. If we need to go less, then we'll bring it down. I don't suspect that's gonna happen, but this is open. We can change that if need be.
So if we go up and it's like a Monday through Friday, it's still at the rate of $95 an hour.
That's actually something we discussed the other day in reference to if we add more hours on, bringing this hourly rate down to a lower
We
rate.
did discuss that.
Yes, we have.
But there will be overtime on weekends, holidays, correct?
Which would be the same thing now, we have one inspector that now goes out on a Saturday, and he wants to go out on a Saturday, so it's actually working out well. But, yeah, we don't normally go out and do these on a weekend or late at night.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Yes, Councilwoman.
Yeah, Ed, you had mentioned that there is a termination clause that we could get out at any time. Where is that in the terms of this agreement?
Well, the agreement itself is as needed, building department services proposal. So if we don't need them, we don't pay.
Okay, so that satisfies that. Okay, and this will always be, it's a 4-hour minimum, but they will charge for 4-hour increments anyway,
We
correct?
are going to have them for the 4
So-
hours, yes.
Okay, so.
That's
there'll be-
part of the plan is 4 hours to be able to do what needs to be done.
So we need to plan wisely when we're sending them out for inspections that,
Oh, there's plenty of work to do.
It's not just the inspections, it's also the plan review,
okay,
all of the other the other aspects of what that position requires.
okay.
Okay, I
All right.
haven't,
I've got one more question, just that, for instance, we're planning on Monday through Thursday. Should we don't need them for one of those days? Is there a amount of hours of notification? In other words, do we have to give them 2 days' notice not to come in, 1 day notice? Don't come in tomorrow? What's,
48 hours would be great.
what is it? 48 hours. Okay. Is that in the, somewhere in the
Who,
contract?
who answered that question? Who was answering that question? I
Well,
don't know who he
Mr.
is.
Phelps, would you mind coming up to the,
Just give your name and address for the record, please. This, I believe, is a gentleman that will be actually doing our
Oh, okay.
inspections.
Charles Phelps, 45 Susan Drive, Cranston, Rhode Island. I work for Four Leaf.
Okay, and you'll be the gentleman working with the town doing our inspections and,
yes.
okay. Any questions from the council that may want to address to him?
Okay, no, I,
Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate that 48 hours to do. I'm sure that there's plenty of work to do. And
Never comes up.
yeah, we're at the way,
They add, they don't subtract.
yeah.
Yeah,
The amount of work that's necessary, I don't see where we're going to have to.
And that will take coordination on our part, which I'm
Exactly.
sure will be done.
We look forward to helping you.
Okay, sir, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
and I just, this is a question for Nick. No, I'm sorry, it's a question for Nick. Nick, so even though it doesn't say anything in the terms of agreement, I know it just says as needed, even though the resolution says 3 months, the agenda says 3 months, but the resolution itself does not say 3 months. Is that an issue?
No, because it's as needed for a period not to exceed 3 months. That's how I read it.
Yeah,
If
but
you look at
she's
the-
concerned with with it not being on the actual resolution. Are you gonna do a contract? The resolution is not the
Oh,
actual
right.
Yeah,
contract.
the agenda says 3 months, but the resolution did not say anything about 3 months.
Well, the
I
3
just-
months,
And-
go ahead, Nick.
We can just add on the end of the resolution, for a period, after the word needed, for a period not to exceed 3 months.
Okay.
If that makes, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine. So
you can make that amendment.
we'll make that a motion with the amendment if that's.
okay.
Okay.
What do you want it to say, 3 months or 90 days?
We'll make it 3 months, that way it's not held to strict days.
Okay,
The 3
okay,
months.
thank you.
Okay, so with that being said, I think almost all questions have been answered. The chair will entertain a motion.
Make a motion,
Okay,
okay.
I'll make the motion to approve this resolution with the verbiage adding the 3 month, for a period of 3 months. And because it is a test at this point.
Not to
Or not
exceed,
to exceed
not
3
to exceed 3 months.
okay.
I'll read the language. For a period after the word needed, at the end of the only paragraph of the resolution, we are adding the following words. We're turning it into a comma after the word needed.
Don't forget your comma.
Are you sure it's not a semicolon? Are you sure?
I'm about to call it an exclamation point. No, it's a comma, and it says for a period, after that it says for a period not to exceed 3 months.
Okay.
Period.
All right, so we have that motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Okay, the next item on the agenda, Madam Clerk.
Appointing candidates to the Charter Review Commission.
Okay, we did interviews this evening, Clyde, that's why we were a little bit late, and we did come up with our names. So I'm gonna read off a list of names, and if anybody's here would like to be sworn in this evening. If they're not there, I did state to everybody that they could come in at a later time, see the clerk, be sworn in, and give a copy of the charter. So the members of our, if we so vote for, will be Sandra Restall, and if anybody is here, please step up for me, please. Dorothy Giacavoni, Richard Williams, Mike New, Brad Inman, Mike Brault, Claire Murray, Norma Smith, and Kimberly Shockley. Okay, if any of those members are here, please come up to
Hold on, not yet.
Okay, you're right. Okay, so with those names, the chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve those 9 names. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Okay, let me just get my paperwork here.
The resolution, page 84.
Yes, he's
Okay.
got it all there.
Okay, if anybody's here that I called their name, please come up. Okay, raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear that you will be true and faithful unto the state and support the laws and Constitution thereof and the Constitution of the United States of America, that you will well and truly execute the office of a member of the Charter Review Committee, for which you have been appointed in Coventry, Rhode Island for a term ensuing, so until another be engaged in your place or until you legally be discharged therefrom, help you God. Okay, thank you very much. Normally I'd have shake your hands, but with everything going on, I appreciate everybody volunteering for this. Foot shake? Yeah.
That's it,
Thank you.
foot kick, thank you.
I'm at the manager's chasing you to give you your copies of the charter.
Okay.
She has one, I gave it to her. Remember, we need to make the amendment. Yeah, we didn't do the resolution yet. We didn't go through the resolution. The people right there.
Okay, all right. Okay, with that being said, we good?
We have to do the resolution
Maybe.
with the amendment.
Okay,
Vote for this yet. Page 84.
page 84. Okay, I guess we did want to make an amendment, yes. So I did swear them all in, but we will make the resolution change on the resolution itself. So we would make a change. You want to make a motion?
I can make the amendment, okay.
Okay,
Mr. President?
Yes, please.
I would like to make an amendment to the resolution,
please do.
okay? Wherever the word commission appears, we have to replace it with the word committee. It appears in 2 places in the first paragraph, 1 place in the second paragraph, and 2 places in the third paragraph.
Okay,
The second part of the amendment is to change the appointment time. So the third paragraph will now read, "Now therefore be it resolved that the town council hereby establishes the Charter Review Committee and the following name to be appointed a Charter Review Committee and shall submit to the town council by June 1st, 2020, a report with its recommendations for amendments, additions, or deletions."
okay, I get those changes. We have a motion for the resolution to be changed. Do we have a second? Second. We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Okay, with that being done, the next item on the agenda, D1, please. Mr. Manager, we have nobody here for the tax abatements, or do we? Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even see you. Aaron, you're new, and I didn't even realize. Thank you. It's all yours. You can come up to the mic if you want to use that mic. If that's hooked up, you can sit, and whatever's better for you. Okay.
We have abatements in the amount,
Yeah, you got to turn the mic on, put it right close to you, please.
abatements in the amount of $16,263.41. And additions in the amount of $23,564.13.
Okay, we've had a chance to look over these. I personally don't have any questions. I like the additions. Are there any questions from anybody from the council?
No.
So I guess a motion would be in order to accept. Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Karen.
Thanks for hanging with us.
Okay, the next item on the agenda, Madam Clerk, would be D2, please.
Resolution in support of legislation which would move the primary election to Wednesday if it is held the same week as Labor Day.
Okay, well, there was some discussion about this. Mr. Manager, I'll let you discuss it and explain it to,
This is simply to send to our legislators requesting that they move on a couple of bills in the House and Senate to change the date for the primary because of extensive cost increases because of the holiday on Monday. You know, we would have to have numerous people in on overtime to get everything prepped and ready for the primary on Tuesday. So that's why it's a request. Numerous towns are putting this out, sending it up to the state and hoping that they will give us all a reprieve, as well as themselves.
yeah, I mean, it is a holiday weekend, as I understand. We have a question, a comment?
I do, I just, the three bills that are listed, I haven't had a chance to read them. Did anyone read them? And they're
I
not
wouldn't-
part of our packet.
I didn't put them in the packet. I did pull them up, and that's what they refer to. If you'd like, I will send you a copy of each of the bills.
No, I mean, we're just voting on them tonight. I want to make sure that, Nick, have you reviewed these bills?
No, I have not. I know they were discussed with the General Assembly.
At our meeting.
I remember
Delegation.
discussing it, but you know I like to read everything, and since I haven't had the opportunity to read these three bills, I want to make sure that there isn't anything in there. I mean, because the council is supporting three bills, but we haven't read them.
They were three bills, I don't understand, we don't have the actual copy of the bills in, but like we had discussed with our legislator, it was just a request to be changed, the date. I mean, do you,
This isn't a resolution we wrote. This is what's going around the state from various communities. They've all used the same one.
I mean, we're not held anything to it, it's just requested.
We're
right?
just
So
requesting them to support
They could just tell us,
passing the
forget
bill.
it.
That's all it is asking them
Okay.
to support it.
Okay.
And to save money. But this was poached from Pawtucket. And several other communities, like I said, the same one.
And you've reviewed all three
I
bills?
have looked at all three of these bills, and that's what they were all referring to, is changing the date
And
for
that's it.
saving the money.
Okay, great. All right, with that being said, if there's no more questions, entertain a motion? Yes.
I just read one of the bills.
Okay.
And it does say that it will be it'll be on the Wednesday after Labor Day if it falls on the Tuesday after Labor Day.
Okay.
So I'm satisfied. I'm not going to read every bill at this moment. It's just going to hold you up. But certainly,
She just doesn't want any money to be taken away from us.
Well, I looked at all three of them.
I just want to make sure.
bill number 7430.
After all, we had a period and not a comma today. I just want to make sure we don't run into that again.
Mrs. Bacon, I'm surprised you didn't review them.
No.
I got to tell you.
Well, it's been a
But I did, and that's all they are, is the
My
same
eyes are
thing.
so bad I couldn't even see the period.
All right, let's get back on track.
I've read it. It's fine. I learned how to read bills very, very quickly when I was in the General Assembly.
I bet
because
you
I usually
did.
got them with very little time to read them.
Okay,
So,
thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, with the questions being answered, then I will entertain a motion.
Motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Okay, the next item on the agenda. This is a first reading, and as we normally do, I'm going to let you first read it, Madam Clerk, please.
First reading of proposed zoning ordinance amendment to change the zoning classification of Assessors Plat 50, lots 11 and 23, located at 17 Tallwoods Drive, from its current R20 designation to PD, Plan Development, also referred to as PDU, Plan Unit Development, for construction of a 62-unit condominium development.
Okay, I might add that we had received some information for us to digest and look over as far as traffic studies and so on. So it'll give us a chance to look it over. This is a first reading. I'm going to refer to questions and comments to the next time when we have a public hearing. So it'll give us council members a chance to look it over. So with that being said, I guess we just take an action for to accept it for now and the way it's
It's a
written.
proposal to amend the zoning ordinance, so according to the law, it's immediately referred to the town council and the planning board, and the process is set forth in both our zoning ordinance and the general laws after that.
So voting for this just sends it over to the planning commission.
That's, well, it's probably already happened. You don't really have to vote.
You don't have to
First
vote,
reading-
okay.
The
First
charter
reading,
doesn't
all right.
say you have to vote on a first reading,
All right,
and
let's-
neither does the zoning enabling.
I think we'll do it after we have the public hearing and comments and everything, then we'll make our vote. Okay, great. So that's being read, first reading, give us a chance to look it over. All right, the next item on the agenda would be, excuse me, E2, Madam Clerk.
First reading on ordinance amendments to change chapter 97 animals, section 2 violation and penalties, failure to appear, default judgment and lien. Chapter 97 animals, section 13 violation and penalties, unrestricted and vicious dogs prohibited, penalty $25 to $100. Chapter 122 fees, section number 2 other fees, impoundment and boarding fees.
Okay, this also is a first reading, so give us a chance to look at it and do our research and ask any questions of anybody. So at our next public hearing, we'll refer our questions to then. All right, so the next item on the agenda, Madam Clerk.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
I have a question. When I read this, I did not really quite understand it because it refers to so many laws, et cetera. So I would like some explanation of what this actually means, violations and penalties.
All right, what I'll do is I'll refer you to the proper person to speak to.
To our
so you'll
legal
have-
counsel?
Yeah, our legal counsel and a judge who has some concerns on it. So do you want to answer that or you want to refer it to, and if she can come up with the answers?
The reason one of the reasons I had a question is I thought that there was a limit as to what kind of fees could be imposed by the municipal court. And so I didn't know if this was contrary to what is in there or not.
No, these fees are the max, they're in line with what we can.
They are either at or below the maximum.
Which would be $300?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And so my next question is that reasonable for this kind of offense?
That is your,
Here again.
that is
Okay.
what you decide.
Being
Okay.
being a first reading, I'd like to, you to do your research and consideration on it, and when we do have a public, bring up all them points.
Well, those are the questions that I have. Thank
Okay,
you.
and actually, all right, I'll speak to you after. That's fine. Okay, great. Next one, I don't know, Madam Clerk, did you read, yes, F1, please? Well, yeah.
We're gonna open the public hearing first?
Gotta read it.
Okay, read it first, and then I'll open it, okay?
Okay. Public hearing of proposed zoning ordinance amendment to change the zoning classification of the Town Hall Annex, Plat 59, Lot 13, located at 1675 Flat River Road, Coventry, Rhode Island, from RR2 Rural Residential 2 acres, designation to I1 Industrial.
Okay, before we open the public hearing, I'd like to, maybe the manager just give an explanation, so when we open a public hearing, people will know what the questions are. Would you be so kind?
The main reason for looking to move this to I1 was due to the fact that we have school buses that have been relocated to, on that property. Turns out that they're in violation, and we're moving to make that section in compliance for having those buses. I1 is the zoning that we have right here. So it's not spot zoning, we're just continuing across the street to continue with the I1 to allow those buses to be there.
Okay, with that explanation, the chair will entertain a motion to open public hearing. So moved. We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll have a second, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Public hearing is over. Is there anybody from the public who would like to speak on this matter? Yes, sir. Come up and give your name and address for the record, please.
Steve Quinn, 1 Walker Lane. I live right across the street from where the buses are.
Yep.
2 years ago, they had the old buses, and the beeping is one thing, but the horns going off continually. So I went over there and asked them why. They said there was 3 old buses. They got new buses this year. Well, the beeping is still going on because I guess the alarms, if they don't shut them off, the horns go off. You're
Horns
talking
mean like traffic?
horns. The horn is the alarm. 5:30 in the morning, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, when they come back. And not only that, it's the cars that park over there. Their alarms go off sometimes. I'm on disability. I got a bad heart. I've already had a heart attack. I've had a stroke. This is a nuisance to me. 2, if you do make it industrial, what else are you going to put over there? That's my concern. It wakes my son up every morning, and he's grouchy. He's really a pain in the neck. And his bedroom's closer than my bedroom, but it's very, very aggravating. And I'm sort of, to be honest with you, pissed off that they were there 2 years, and I didn't know they had a right to be there. If I'd known that, I would have said something or did something. I don't want the buses there, period. So
Okay.
that's my statement, and I'll do what I have to do. If you do change the zoning, I'll have to do what I gotta do.
Okay, understood.
Are you, sir, are you saying every morning those horns are going off? Really?
Every morning,
5:30.
5:30, 6 o'clock, yes.
I will be there tomorrow morning to see what's going on.
Okay, thank you.
We'll have a conversation with them. Sure, absolutely. Is there anybody else from the public who would like to make a comment? Yes, please. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Denise Dunning, 1705 Flat River, right on the corner.
Okay.
Pretty much what he said is true. It's much better since they changed the buses. I guess they got newer buses. That is better because what used to get to me was the brakes. The squeaking brakes from the time they left the parking lot all the way up Walker Lane till they turned the corner and went out of sight. Now that they have the newer buses, it's not as bad. I gotta say that. But he is right.
Certainly let us talk to the bus company and see if there's anything that can be done. Yeah, I haven't heard any complaints, to be perfectly honest with you.
There was one car every single day, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, thank God, the alarm went off. Every day. It's like, really? Every day.
No, is it every bus in the morning at 5:30, or
Oh,
is it?
that I don't know. That,
Well, does it sound like a lot of them going off?
It's not every bus in the morning. It's occasional bus here. I went over there and complained about, the way she explained it was, the new buses have a alarm.
Would you come up to the mic
sir?
just so everybody can hear?
The way I went over there and talked to the lady in charge of the bus people, and the way she explained it, the new buses, this is the beginning of the year, when they have the alarm, if they don't know how to disconnect them, the alarm is the horn. So if they start it up or whatever they got to do to shut it off, it goes off, the horn goes off. Well, now it's March, and they still go off. So, I mean, how many times you got to teach somebody to, whatever they got to shut off, so it won't, the beeping's not too bad. I can deal with the beeping. But my biggest concern is, what else you gonna put over there?
There's no plans to put any industrial over there.
You know that, anything can change, I mean.
But, no, I understand, I understand.
And my house is right across the street, that's,
We will certainly have a conversation with the bus company themselves and
I mean, if you wanna just change that particular area and leave, are you talking the whole ball field?
the whole plot of land,
The whole ball field?
yeah.
See,
the whole piece of-
that's why I totally That ball field would be.
We're not looking
No,
to
they're-
eliminate the ball field.
No,
I know you're
nothing's,
not looking for
We're-
it.
No,
You know how things
we need
work.
ball fields, but that's not the intention. And that ball field's been there forever. We're not looking to do that, but I understand your concerns.
this was simply to put us in compliance because they had put them,
I understand that.
put them over there, and we're just fixing a deficiency that occurred
I understand
in the
that. I'm
past.
just-
They're-
like I
The
said,
fields aren't going anywhere. That's
The
not
long-term
happening.
plan, what we would want to do for the longest time is when money is, we would love to see the town hall over there. That would be the most that would happen over there is a town hall would be located there, and this would be a complete library.
Yeah.
That would be great if we could afford it, but right now it's not, in the cards. But that would be the max of, what we would do with that building.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Can I use that?
Fair enough. Thank
Okay,
you very much.
no problem. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to make a comment? How about anybody from the council would like to make a comment?
Yes.
Yes, okay, go ahead, Mr. Cody.
Yes. We have to be more genuine with the people. We have already discussed the fact that the bus company would like to put a propane tank over there so they can fill their own buses, which is going to be in closer proximity to the residents that live over there. They're talking about a pretty big propane tank. They're not talking about a 20-pounder to run a gas grill off of. They're talking about maybe a 2,500-gallon or 5,000-gallon self-contained tank that they can fill buses out of. As far as the backup alarms, I have a solution to that. You mandate every bus driver backs their bus into position in the afternoon before they go home. So at 5:30 in the morning, when they're starting them up to go out, they're not backing up halfway across the parking lot and the surrounding neighbors aren't listening to beep, 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 beep. So there are ways around that. As far as the horns, you're better than me. I'd have gone over there with a set of cutting pliers. I wouldn't have had to worry about the horns anymore. I only speak up because we're talking about a for-profit company that the town of Coventry certainly doesn't own. But as part of the contract, we provide them with parking for their buses. We don't own them. We don't own the drivers. I want to know what would be the financial impact to that contract if we did not provide them with parking spaces for those buses. And I know it wouldn't be on the municipal side, it would be on the school side. And I know how money is on the school side. I understand how tight it is on the school side. But I know that there will be a fiscal impact to that contract should we not provide them with parking. I'm not concerned with what else we want to put over there. I'm not. It's never going to be an asphalt plant. It's never going to be a concrete plant. It's not going to be industrial. It's zoned industrial strictly for those buses. But when we say we're not going to put anything else over there, I know they're going to ask for a propane tank.
They may very well do that,
That's a different matter, it is.
but they may very well do that, but that's also going to get through, it requires a special use permit. And
Ed.
I know you know, sir.
I don't want this gentleman back here in 6 months saying, you guys lied to me. There's a propane tank over there. You said they weren't doing anything else. I don't want that to happen.
Can I just state, I understand where you're coming from, and we're certainly not trying to hide anything. That very possibly could come up. It very possibly could. It's going to require a special use permit, and they'll have a public hearing then. It'll be up for a big, that is not what's on the agenda
No,
this evening.
Mr. President, I want to be clear. I don't think this council was trying to hide anything. We deal with 100 different things every 2 weeks. I just didn't, and I know that it was if Debbie hadn't said something, I wouldn't have thought about the propane tank. And I asked Councilman Bacon, can I use that? Because I don't want people to listen, we've got a lot on our plates. We can't remember every little detail of every little thing when we're sitting up here. But
And
yeah,
absolutely,
that's what we have Debbie for the commas and the periods. And Ann.
and absolutely, the people will have a chance to voice their opinion if that comes up in the future, and more than likely it will, but that's, here again, the matter at hand is really what we're voting on, and it's just to allow the buses. It doesn't, they have a whole process to follow if a propane, if that request is made and the special use permit is done, and then we'll have the opportunity.
I can tell that gentleman this, that if the town manager says he'll be there at 5:30 in the morning to find out what's going on, you can look for his white pickup truck, because he will be there at 5:30 in the morning to find out what's going on. He's not blowing smoke. And if there's anything that the town can do to rectify it, we certainly will.
Gary, I would like, I see Mr. Levis came back in. I was wondering if he might have the answer to what that financial impact would be of the
Yeah,
company
that's
not having their buses parked at that spot.
So I apologize for leaving. I was over doing some work at the office, but I was watching. I listened to the gentleman. I just want to remind the council that, I don't know, 4 years ago, I was here reporting on financial, school department finances. And there was a picture covered with some green piece of cloth. And lo and behold, we found out that night that the town was going to be building a new police station, Department of Human Services, but they forgot to notify the school department, who had the bus depot in our facilities over at that location. So I don't play the victim card often, but we were forced into this situation. I want to remind the town that there's already a propane tank there. It may not be the same size, but it's there for I believe for the generator, for the police station. The town paved that area for the buses there. That was a decision that was made. The town paid for a fence to go up there to put the buses. So the buses are already parked in a residential setting. So my feeling is that we just need this to be resolved one way or the other. There is a huge financial impact. The bus company, in fairness, could have moved the buses out. I believe they pay $140,000 in excise tax, because the bus has to have an office here, but they don't have to have the buses here. So we started this process and worked with Mr. Wazika, who was back in the summer. So, I mean, my frustration, it's taken a long time. We need resolution. I think it's costing about $8,000, I could be wrong, a month to fill the buses, am I correct? So there's about $8,000 right now that's being paid because the buses have to be filled over there. So, pardon?
Who's that gentleman that's speaking, that answered that?
That is the gentleman that owns the propane company that's actually filling the buses. They also have their attorney here that we've had conversations. I know has been in touch with Mr. Wazika. So we're trying to just resolve this. I think we've been very patient. Again, the buses were placed there. We need to fill them. We had long conversations about other options, but this seemed to be the best option to change. But there is going to be a financial impact. Again, like I said, we were forced into that situation.
And we have spent quite a bit of money on paving it and fencing it and so on, but, I mean, you have something to say?
The only objection I heard tonight was the noise.
Yeah.
And that seems to be something that I think the town can control.
I think if you do meet over there, and I'll be more than happy to go over there with you someday too, Mr. Manager, and talk. I'm up early, so I'll be over there and,
Propane tank's gonna make noise? Is that what you said?
No, are there any other questions?
No, I mean, right down the road, we have Suburban Propane, who is a distributor, and there are houses very close by there. I don't think that there's.
All right, so we have
that's not
Mr. Levis here. Is there anybody from the committee, the council, who would like to speak to Mr. Levis? Any questions on it? Okay, thank you very much for your input. Any other comments from the council?
I do. I'm actually a little perplexed because, so when we have a first reading, I just want to get this correct. We have a first reading.
Are you directing?
Yes, to you. I'm sorry,
Sure.
Nick. I'm sorry.
Sure, that's okay.
And so when we do the first reading for an ordinance change, that automatically, at that time when the council has a first reading, that automatically goes over to the planning commission at that point?
Not every ordinance, just amendments to the zoning ordinance.
Just amendments, but
Proposed-
what I'm saying is
proposed
this proposed amendment
Yes.
should have gone after we had our meeting in December, correct?
No, the timing is, the important thing is that the planning commission give a report and recommendation to the council before the town council takes its vote.
Before the first reading? Or-
No.
All right, so
No.
that's where I'm getting a little confused. So the first reading, we discussed this.
Let me,
Okay.
I'll
I'm just
try
trying to
explain it.
understand when the planning commission gets it and when.
Because
they're-
our charter,
Pardon?
there are two different standards that we have to meet, arguably, whenever we pass a zoning amendment. The first is set forth in our own home rule charter, which says whenever you're going to submit an ordinance, you have to do it at least 4 business days prior to the town council meeting where it's submitted, and you have to have a first reading. The Zoning Enabling Act does not require that. It doesn't require a first reading. The only thing the Zoning Enabling Act requires is that when the when the ordinance amendment is submitted to the land use administrative officer, that a copy be forwarded to the town council and the planning board. And it doesn't mean that the planning board has to hear it right away. It just means that it has to be sent to the planning board. And I know that was done in this case, and I believe that the planning board has given its recommendation. And so the main reason for that rule in the Zoning Enabling Act, I think it's 452452, if I'm not mistaken. I might be off by a section or two. But the reason for that is really to give the planning board a chance to weigh in on the virtue of the amendment, the proposed amendment. And also that the town council, by the time they have their public hearing and anticipate a vote, that they have the benefit of that guidance from the planning commission before taking a vote. I believe that did happen here.
Okay, that's where I'm a little confused, because the planning commission did review this on October 23rd, 2019, but it says it was referred by the town council to change the zoning on that land. But the town council, we had never had a meeting, we had never discussed it, so the town council did not request this, so that's why I was a little.
No, it has been. It was sent over to them after the last first reading.
No, I'm reading the meeting minutes, it's October 23rd.
Right, and it was approved at that one, but there was another one that was recently approved at.
Yes, and in January. But again, the town council, we as a council never actually stated to send that over.
But the town council does not need to vote to send a proposal to amend the zoning ordinance to the planning commission. Do you understand why?
No, I don't, because
All
it
right,
states in
here's why.
October.
Because the General Assembly has decided, when they created the Zoning Enabling Act, that the proposal is sent to the Planning Commission, whether the council says to do it or not. It's state law. It must happen, and it did.
Okay, that's why I'm saying, it just says that it was referred by the town council, we, the town
Well,
council. I think folks need to understand
that's,
that we did not do that prior to October 23rd.
Whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter. The point is that it was supposed to go to the Planning Commission, and it got there.
Yeah.
They considered it,
Yeah.
and they gave their direction to the town council.
But we don't get those directions. That's my other issue, is we're looking at this tonight, and I pulled the meeting minutes to look for this. We, as a town council, never get the recommendations to the town council from the planning commission. Why is that?
That's a suggestion that might be a good idea in the future.
I mean, because
that
they vote on it to
when-
send it
when
to
you
town
have a
council.
vote, or, when you have a vote, that you have a copy of that report and recommendation from the planning commission in the packet.
We normally do get a copy of the vote normally.
Yeah, we used to.
Yes.
We do not get it. I mean, I looked this up myself because I wanted to know what their, it was a very interesting conversation that they all had, and they wanted those to go over to the town council, and none of that went. But my other concern is, and this is something that Mr. Levis brought up, which is I'm a little concerned with, he stated there's another propane tank. Now, at the Planning Commission meeting on October 23rd, Mr. Crossman confirmed that everything that's there is allowable, just not the buses. But there's already a propane tank over there?
I don't know anything about the size of the tank. I think the tank is there are a lot of generator setups that
I
use a
don't know.
propane tank.
Yeah, which means
But that
probably
could be what it
Let's,
is.
let the solicitor speak.
That's all. I didn't do an investigation of what kind of propane tank is
Mr.
over
Manager,
there.
you have a comment on that?
There is a, I believe it's a 200-pounder that's over there. It was apparently installed back about 10, 12 years ago when the EOC was placed in that building, and a generator was purchased to keep that building up and keep that EOC up and running during the event of a power failure. And that's been there, as I said, if you go over and look, because I was shocked to find out that it's there, it was there, it's been there at least 10 to 12 years.
Is that something that's been in violation? Or is that, when the generator was put in, it must have been approved back in the day. It was well before my time, but is that something that with the
building code?
Yeah, would be in.
I checked with the colonel. Obviously, it predates this one, and I've tried to find out if, in fact, anybody brought that up and it was put in front of planning, in front of the council. And honestly, I suspect it was done based on need.
Yeah.
Need, and it never went further than.
Well, I think that's what we're trying to do, is to right anything that
Correct,
was
and that's what-
wrong in the past. So, what was done, it was done, it was done. We can't change that.
And that's what we're trying to do, is
Yes.
fix the wrongs that were taking place.
There are probably a lot of people in Coventry who have a setup like this with a gas-fired generator and a tank to power the generator. And I'm not sure. I don't want to give an opinion on this, but I'm not sure if you need to get a zoning approval to have a generator to keep your house electricity running when there's a storm. But I doubt it.
Now, correct me when I'm wrong, a 200-pound cylinder, these guys might, it's not
a
that
200-pounder
big. We're
is-
not talking about a big, huge underground propane tank. A 200-pound could be at the side of a house, a large house. All right, so I agree with you there. I think that, you drive around town, you'll see a lot of 200-pound cylinders out there, people running generators, running gas stoves or whatever. It's a lot of people use propane heat in their house, and it doesn't require a special use permit for that.
I think if we required a permit for every 200-pound tank, Suburban Propane would be out of business.
Yeah, let's not do that.
No.
Right, so
All right,
if the point's well taken, remember Bacon, but I don't think that's the problem here. Have I addressed the
We
question
did, I
of
just think we
referral
need
to
to
the
get
planning
I
board?
think we need, this council, if the planning commission has recommendations, those recommendations need to come to the town council, because they were very interesting, and actually, Chairman Kalunian at the time also brought up what I had discussed in our December meeting. What I was very concerned with is this piece of property. These neighbors purchased their homes over there. They abutted a RR2. It was not industrial. I would like to see, if this is going to go to a I1, that there be something in the deed that we can change this back. If it is no longer going to be used by the town, since we are selling properties, you never know. I want that to revert back to RR2 and no longer be industrial.
I think we have a lot of good points taken up tonight, and I would like a copy of that also. I don't think it's gonna hurt if we just push it. This is up for public hearing and for action. I don't think we're ready for action tonight. I think we would
No,
be
I don't
better
think we
off-
are.
It was placed under action because that always gives the council the opportunity to vote, but
opportunity,
it's
right.
within your discretion to put it off. And
We've
Mr.
heard the,
President,
we've
that's-
heard the voices of the public. We've heard some of their concerns. I think, Mr. Manager, that we would like, okay, you got that. And we would, I don't think we're ready for action tonight. I think we've heard we want to look into the noise, we want to look into a few matters that are concerning the public, and
And
maybe we could put this on our next meeting to make,
The October 23rd is when they had a very detailed discussion, the Planning Commission, regarding this.
This, there was a time discrepancy in the posting on,
Yes, I know, I brought
and
that
that's
to your
why this
attention.
was redone on January 22nd.
Yes,
So that's what I'm saying. So this is the one where the final one where they approved it.
but there is a very detailed discussion on October 23rd, 2019 regarding this.
Do we have a copy of that one, Mr.?
I will get everybody a copy of that one as well.
all right, so I don't think we need to, I don't think we need to make any motions. I think we're just going to table this until we get the information that we need. Yes, Mr. Solicitor?
That's great. I think it would be a good idea if you announced the next meeting when this will be, if you can, because it just gives the folks who are here the benefit of knowing the next time you're going to take this up.
All right, Mr. Manager, yes, the public hearing is still open, but I just want to check with the manager. We have a meeting next Monday, but that's going to be for a school. That won't work. The following Monday,
We will have a regular meeting on the 23rd. You're going to get an email. We're also going to be needing a special meeting on April 1st to approve a floodplain change.
why don't we plan on putting this, we should be able to have all the information we requested by the 23rd. We could put this on the 23rd agenda for action, pending all of our, the information that we want to get. All right,
All right, so it'll be on the March 23rd.
March
Does
23rd.
it require
Agenda.
additional posting?
Or
because we've already had the
It
public
doesn't
hearing?
require any further advertising.
It
just
doesn't. All
requires-
right. We have a member of the public that would like to speak. Will you please give your name and address for the record, please?
Thank you.
Yes.
Wow, I just got shot
Yeah,
by
go
the
ahead. Just,
microphone. My name is Eric Brainsky. I'm an attorney with the law offices of Brainsky, Levinson, and Seekonk, Massachusetts. I am an attorney for Columbus Oil, Columbus Propane. They are and have been in negotiations with the school department, and I've talked to your town manager about potentially supplying the school buses over there with propane. And that negotiation is very much, of course, dependent upon what happens at the next meeting and your vote. What I wanted to do and I don't know if it'll put your mind at ease, I know there's not going to be a vote tonight, but there were a few questions out there about, and very good questions about procedure, et cetera. What I can tell you is this. The proposal that my clients would put forth, if the zone change were to pass, would then be subject to an application before the zoning board for a special use permit. When that happens, the zoning board sends it to the planning board for a recommendation on that specific proposal. Here, the proposed propane tank. There's lots of benefits to this, and we'll explain engineering details and those sorts of things in the appropriate forum. However, we do think it's going to save the town $8,000–9,000 a month. So the buses that are currently being supplied with propane don't have to have delivery from Swansea, Massachusetts, or their other locations. Back to the procedural question, what happens after the planning board sends their recommendation to the zoning board on that specific proposal? Then there is a public hearing before the zoning board on the propane tank, not on the district. And I hear your concerns about, well, I won. What happens if the buses aren't there? You know, you could open it up to, I heard somebody say an asphalt plant or a concrete plant or something like that. And your solicitor can tell you this. One thing you may want to consider, just respectfully, is conditioning the approval, if you choose to do so, on the proposal that's over there, and say this zone change is for the purposes of the school buses and anything accessory thereto. Mr. Gorham knows what I'm talking about, which could include, of course, the propane tank and subject to other approvals. And perhaps you can craft an appropriate vote with legal counsel to have conditions of approval such that you don't have one day the buses aren't there and somebody's seeking a permit for a rocket launcher pad or something like that. So that would be cool. A fireworks plant.
Yeah,
or
I understand that if the propane down the road becomes an issue, that's going to be a whole separate issue. But really the matter at hand tonight is to whether we're going to approve, disapprove the zoning change. So we respectfully, appreciate your
Thank
opinion
you.
on that. And we do feel as though that we need a little more information, and we will put it on the agenda for the 23rd of this month.
I'm sorry, Mr.
Yeah, if you
Chairman,
want to
done?
come back and
Yes.
voice any more concerns on the 23rd, please feel free. But we still have a few unanswered questions as far as, the meetings, and we want to make sure it's done right. We've heard the
Sure.
residents' complaints, and we have to make sure it's done right. So if conditional changes are something that we can discuss with the solicitor, because this changing of the deed, that's fine, and we need to work on that a little more before we make approval.
Would the council entertain approval of closing the public hearing and set it down for deliberation and vote at the next hearing, and then you folks can
Well,
work
absolutely, that's
together?
what we're gonna do. Yeah, we're gonna close public hearing once I've heard
Thank you.
everybody, and then we will bring this up again on the 23rd of this month, all right?
And we look forward to hopefully working with you folks and providing a good service to the
All
town.
right, thank you very much, I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Okay,
President,
yes.
I keep on hearing that we're going to wait for more information, so I just want to clarify, what information are we expecting to get?
Thank you. I was going for that one.
Okay, thank you so much. What are we looking for in order to make a decision on this? Because this decision has been delayed for many, many, many months.
What would you like to see? What do you need?
What do we need?
Well, I mean, Councilwoman Bacon suggested minutes from the planning commission meeting, which was I haven't seen them, so that would be something that we would like to see. With October 10th, you believe you said?
October 23rd
23rd.
is when they met. And I
But
just,
Mrs. Bacon, the one that this is predicated on is the January one, though.
understood, but as I said, the October 23rd meeting has a lot of details in it that this meeting does not have. So you would, if you look at the October 23rd meeting, there's a lot of information.
I think what.
I'll dig the minutes out and print them out for
I
everybody.
have them right here, if you want them.
But this one came over from this January 22nd, 2020, came over from the planning board with a recommendation to this council.
Yes. And they did that again, they did that on October 23rd, 2019, but it's more detailed, that's all I'm saying.
But these minutes, there's no minutes with this one. I can get the minutes out. I mean, I suspect that what came over on October was the same way that this is.
No, they're not, that's why I'm, but
You-
you
well,
guys,
no,
I mean,
on
I
the mi-
have them, I've already read them, it doesn't matter.
No,
I guess-
I'm not talking about the minutes, Mrs. Bacon. I'm talking about their recommendation. Is their recommendation more extensive than this? Or the
It
minutes
is.
more extensive than this?
The minutes and the recommendation, hang on, I didn't compare, I mean, if you want me to, I will, I wasn't prepared to do that. I've just got it off the Secretary of State's website, that's all, so.
I'll dig it up
whatever.
myself. I'll dig it up
Yeah,
myself. But I don't
Okay.
think their recommendation would have been much more detailed than what this is.
I, for
The minutes
one,
are different,
ready to
and
go-
that's,
I, for
The
one,
minutes
am
are-
gonna go by our planning commission's recommendation that was sent over to us. That's why things are sent to the planning commission, to make a recommendation to the council. It's
But-
clear to me what the planning commission wanted done with this project. I have it here in front of me now. I didn't have it before. I have it here in front of me now.
Well, listen,
I'm
if,
gonna go with what my the committee says.
then make a motion.
Well,
mean,
can I also, one thing that we can look into, if, once that property is no longer being used and the town is planning on selling that property, can that revert back to RR2 instead of industrial one when it is
Can we make it with
sold?
conditions?
Can we do
You
that?
can make conditions. I will be prepared to tell you whether you can do that at the next meeting on this matter, which is March 23rd.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Well, I'd like to wait till the 23rd personally myself, because I still have, my concerns are with the neighbors and the noise, and I want to make sure that there's, that the town has put something in place, that we've done something to make sure that they will not be disturbed by buses backing up and horns going off, et cetera.
Look, Ms.
That's
Cody,
what
I
my
understand
concern.
your concern, you normally do back up the planning commission, but I still think there's some unanswered questions, just to put everybody at ease. I don't think it's gonna be a big issue to wait till the 23rd. I really, I was hoping it would be resolved tonight, but let's be fair to all the council people and let's get any information.
So-
We need a motion to table, or?
well,
I just-
minutes are rec for the October, minutes are rec for January, anything else that you would like to see?
I just have a question. So with the public hearing tonight, when we're tabling this, does that mean that public hearing is closed, or does it remain open until our next meeting?
Motion to close the public hearing.
But I'm just saying, in case the people have any, I mean, is there a way that we can keep it open until the 23rd? And if these folks have any other questions, now they're able to ask us these questions.
No, I don't know what the legal
Can
opinion
it
on that
stay?
is, but I think
I
we
don't
have
know
the
though.
public hearing, we've heard the concerns, and I've opened it up for them to speak about it, and we're acting on their concerns right now, so I don't think there's any
Okay,
need
no,
to-
I was just wondering if
Yep.
it could continue to the 23rd, and then it also, like, public hearing.
I don't know if you want to give a
continue,
legal
and then
opinion
we
on that,
have
but I
to
don't
take
see any need
action.
to open a public hearing up again. We've had the,
It's up to the town council whether to keep the public hearing open or not.
I am not in favor of keeping the public hearing open. It was advertised, 2 people have come forward, and the comments have nothing to do, so to speak, with changing the zone, but with the noises coming from the buses. And we should be able to get a resolution on that. Mr. Levis is here, and you can talk to Mr. Martin, who's responsible for the bus service, and see if there can be some resolution on that particular issue.
I did bring up the idea.
please come up to the mic, sir.
Well, you did come up with the idea as what could possibly
And,
be
and
put
just
over
allow
there.
the
Yes,
councilwoman
you
to
did.
finish, wait, sir, just allow the councilwoman to finish before you speak, and then,
Yeah.
okay.
Your primary concern that you came forward with had to do with noise, et cetera. You did end your conversation, I agree with you, and I missed that, forgive me. You did end your conversation with, you were wondering what else could go there. And we do have a potential solution, and that is to put some stipulation that nothing else could be put there other than buses. So we could consider with our legal counsel how that could be worded.
Well, you're gonna close the public hearing, how am I gonna know that?
Well, we'll have a meeting again, and we'll bring it up.
There'd be a motion.
We're gonna answer your questions, we're gonna answer concerns, and we're gonna have a motion, about a new, new motion with the concerns addressed.
I agree with the young lady here, put a stipulation in there, if the buses move, or put it back to residential.
Right,
That's what we're working on. The legal
the
counsel's gonna work on
solicitor said that he's gonna explore the wording for
Do
that.
I have a right to come back in 2 weeks?
You can listen you can listen and give public comment at the end, but we're not gonna open public comment on this matter again. We're gonna address your concerns by the new motion by the new resolution that'll come in.
I think you're wondering, can you attend the meeting on the 23rd and sit
Yeah,
and
but
listen?
I don't have a right to speak, though.
You will, if they close public hearing,
Then I don't have a right to
you won't be, yes, you would have to wait until the
So
end
I
of the
won't get
meeting.
another letter, nothing like that.
No, you won't.
But
Just show up on the 23rd,
You
and
can-
if you have any more concerns, bring it up now, and we're gonna try to address them prior to making the new. Hopefully your concerns will be addressed.
Okay, thank you, I hope you do that.
Okay, thank you.
So that's why I did ask for clarification as to what we're waiting for on the 23rd. And what we're waiting for is the conditions to revert back, the minutes from the October 23rd meeting, and the resolution of the sounds.
Did you get that, the information, what we're looking for when we, for the next meeting? You have a list of all that, and then, all right.
The minutes and the
Is there-
recommendation for both meetings?
Is there a need to table it, or we just don't take action?
Are we also, because I mean, Gary brought it up earlier in the conversation about the financial impact also. Do we need to know all of that if the buses, say this fails and the buses need to be moved? Do we need to know that financial impact?
Well, Mr. Levis said that there would be a
It's already-
serious
I think you-
financial
I
impact.
think you already know.
Can I be clear about something? Please? Please.
Go ahead, Mr. Cody.
And I know it's my fault for not being here for the meetings, but had this been provided in our packet tonight, and I knew going in that it came with a positive recommendation from our planning, I wouldn't have had any concerns. I support my planning board.
It wouldn't have been put forward if it hadn't come with a positive.
Well-
That's my mistake. I will make sure those come from now on.
I'm not in a position to second guess the people we appointed to do their homework and give us the recommendation, yea or nay. So a lot of my questions would have been null and void had I had this in front of me as part of my package before this hearing started. So I am withdrawing any of my concerns on a positive recommendation that I received from my planning board. So you folks can do whatever you want with the public meeting from this point forward. My concerns have been answered.
Okay, point taken. Yes.
Mr. President, The school department has been waiting for many months for a decision on this, and I'm wondering why we have to postpone till March 23rd, since we are meeting next week, why we have to postpone till March 23rd making a decision on this. I mean, the amount of information that has to be collected is not really that great.
No, it isn't, but I do, we have some citizens' concerns, that's what I want to address. I'm fine with the positive recommendation from just like Mr. Cody is, I'm fine with that. I respect the planning commission, but we have some concerns with noise and concerns that we want to address before we make it, so that's where I'm not comfortable right there. So, I understand your point. They're waiting for this. They need this, and I don't think if we can address the concerns of the neighbors, I don't think it's going to be an issue the next meeting to take action. I mean, and we don't need to take a vote on this. I think I'm just going to table this, and we'll get our information. And Councilwoman Bacon, if you have anything that you need besides what Mr. Wazika is going to provide for us, please email Mr. Wazika, and he'll get you any information that's needed. Okay.
I think there does have to, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, has to be a vote to close the public hearing.
Oh, yeah, we're not, yeah, please, let me run the meeting, sir, thank you, I'm good. I understand I gotta close public hearing, I'm not taking action, that was my point, so,
This is the first I'm hearing about the horns in the morning.
Me too, I have not heard
I've not
complaint
heard any
about it.
complaints about this, so this is a first for me.
So
Yep.
that's why the public hearing, that's correct. And so I want to address it, and I feel more comfortable, addressing that. And I don't think it's going to be an issue once we get issues or the concerns addressed, and then we can take it up on the 23rd. So is there anybody else from the public, before I close public hearing, that would like to make a comment? Yes. Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Nancy Sullivan, 6 White Oak Court. I've attended a lot of meetings, zoning, planning, and everything, and I do know that public hearing can be continued on to the next meeting. And my question is what harm would it be to give the citizens, you're asking for more information so that you can make and render a best decision on this. Maybe the public at that time, when you're having that, would also have additional questions that they come up in that time period, but yet they're not going to be allowed to ask those questions until public comment, which would be after the voting, and then the consideration of their wishes and their questions then would not have been answered until done deal.
Well,
so
let me answer that the best I can. We've given the opportunity to people to voice their concerns, and I understand where you're coming from. It will be posted, an agenda will be posted. If the people still have concerns, they have the right to get a hold of their council member and express their concerns that we could be. I ultimately make the decision whether we're going to close public comment or keep it going. So they have the right to contact us and get a hold of, and let us know of any concerns, as they should do prior to any council meeting, and that's when we make our decisions from there.
So
your point's taken.
as I respect that, I also want you to respect the voices of the many who might, for whatever reason, may not have been able to come, may be at home viewing because they're ill or whatever. Continuing this would not be of any harm, since you're going to vote on it on the 23rd anyhow, to let them have their say from them.
Your point's taken. I respect the people's opinion. I respect the people's voice. I've been doing nothing but since I've been at this leadership position, so I appreciate your comment. Thank you. Okay, anybody else in the public would like to make a comment? Seeing none, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
We have a motion to close public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Aye. Motion carries. Public hearing is closed. Okay, the next item on the agenda would be public comment. Is there anybody from the audience who would like to have public comment about items discussed at this meeting this evening? Seeing none, hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We make a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much for coming this evening.